Hi there, Stampers. Thanks for stopping by. This is Jennifer McGuire. Today I am revisiting an older technique that I really liked long ago, and I'm hoping that you like too. This is called swipe stamping. So basically, we're not going to ink the stamp how we normally do. We're going to change it up to get a completely different look, and it adds texture to solid stamped images. It's a great way to get a different look from stamps that you already may have. I'm also going to share some tips for creating backgrounds with lots of images. That seems to be popular these days, and I struggle getting that look. Another great thing about this card design and technique is that you probably have what you need. You don't need many supplies for this. You just want a stamp set with solid images, some white cardstock, and some dye ink. So I'm using the Hero Arts Birthday Silhouette stamp set. It has some adorable animals here that are nice and solid. Also some playful images in it too. And I have white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. For this technique, I found that I get best results if I use a dye ink. Any dye ink will work. You can try it with pigment ink, but I find dye gives better results. I'm using Hero Arts inks today. So normally when we ink up a stamp, we tap it. We just tap it right onto the surface of the stamp. Well, today instead, I'm going to swipe it across the surface of the stamp. On all of these images, I'm swiping from the bottom of the image towards the top, very lightly. And what this results in is a stamp image that's not solid, but instead it's softer and it has like this texture or these little stripes in it, this little variation that I think is fun and interesting. It gives a softer result, something with a little bit of texture so it has a little more interest, and a great way to get a fresh look from a solid stamp. Now, sometimes I would tap the stamp with the ink pad and then swipe it. I think it depends on the ink pad. I tried each on scrap paper first. Some of my ink pads are a little bit juicier because they're newer, and some are less juicy because I've had them for like 10 years and I never re-ink them. So you just want to try and see which gives the best results for each color. I also will say that you want to start with an ink color that is a little bit darker than the final result you want, because this will give you a lighter image than normal stamping. I will link all the colors that I used in my YouTube description below and over on my blog if you want to try out these same colors. I will say that since this technique is so fast, and each time you get a different look with the swipe stamping, it is a great technique for mass producing. So I'm actually making 4 or 5 of this card design right now. Now, if you swipe stamp and you discover that the image looks too light, you can just do the same thing again, swipe stamp again, right on top of it, and it'll darken it a little bit. I really like this pink flamingo with the ultra pink ink. I think it is such a cute little image. So there we have our background. Now these backgrounds where you kind of stamp a bunch of colorful images kind of tossed around on the background of a card, this kind of card is very popular right now. And I struggle with it. I don't know why. I think because there's so much going on in the background, I don't know what to put on top of it. So here's a tip. If you struggle with kind of free backgrounds like that, try lining up the images. So I have mine all kind of facing the right direction, and that kind of helped me do it. So if that's something you struggle with, you might want to try that. Now there are some stars in this stamp set that I'm just stamping the good old-fashioned way with soft granite ink. The reason I'm doing this is when I put shimmer pen on top of the soft granite ink, it looks perfectly shiny silver. So that's the look I wanted to go for. This stamp set also has balloons and party hats that you can add to the animals, but I decided to go with just the stars. So you can see the stars there. When I add the shimmer pen on top, it'll look truly metallic. But I want to show you the rest of the card here. The sentiment is from this Hero Arts Birthday Messages stamp set. This stamp set has a lot of great birthday sentiments that work with a variety of style of cards. I took the Make-A-Wish and the Enjoy Your Day, and I teamed them up together on an acrylic block. I stamped them a few times along the bottom of some gray cardstock with Versamark ink, and I'm heat embossing it with white embossing powder. This is going to save me time by white heat embossing them all at once. Then I can cut it in a strip and then cut them apart, instead of cutting the cardstock and doing each one individually. So it's really easy to take the edge of a cardstock and do several sentiment strips at once. Now, I'm keeping this sentiment strip very simple. I'm not going to put any embellishments on it or do anything else to it. So I wanted to make it stand out a little bit. On these cards, I decided to add some Wink of Stella shimmer on top of it. Whenever I do this, when I go over a heat embossed sentiment and color the entire paper, I color it completely and then I wipe it off with my finger just to get the excess shimmer off of the Heat Emboss sentiment. And anywhere it might be thicker than other places, it kind of smooths it out by rubbing your finger on it. It also takes any of the excess sparkle off. Now I did the same along the four sides of a gray note card so that the gray note card would have the same shimmer, but I only did it along the edges because that's all that's going to show. I trimmed down my pattern paper that I created so that I could glue that on the front of the note card, and now I'm adding the shimmer to the stars. Now for this card, I decided just to add the sentiment with some foam tape, but on my next examples, I have a fun alternative that I'll share. Now for these little eyeballs, I decided to use these super tiny Google eyes from Studio Cadia. These are so tiny. I think they're 3 millimeters, and they are so much fun. Great for this background. Kind of makes it a little playful, but they're not too distracting from the rest of the card because they're so tiny. They're really fun to use. And I added those with some Ranger Multimedia Matte Finish Adhesive so that you can't see it when it kind of oozes out the side of the Google eyes. So here are the final cards I made. They're all the same. I did the Google eyes on all of them. It has lots of shine to it. It's hard to see in the video, but there is a lot of shine to it. Kept this very simple. You can see that the stars match the cardstock. They all have that nice shine. And I used the same silhouette images to stamp some solid ones onto my matching envelope. And I used one of the other happy birthday sentiments from that same Hero Art sentiment stamp set to white heat emboss on the inside. Okay, so there's my first example. I want to show you another one because I have some more tips for you. And that's this balloon birthday card. This one uses the same swipe stamping technique, but I have a few tips. Now I use the same colors of Hero Arts inks for this card, but I used the Hero Arts Birthday Celebration stamp set. This is a great round balloon that I thought was so cool and perfect for this technique. Now notice when I'm doing this, I'm just doing a gentle swipe across my ink pad to stamp it. Earlier I mentioned you might have ink pads that are older and not as juicy, and then you may have some ink pads that are newer and are very juicy. If you have an ink pad that's super juicy, when you swipe it, if you swipe it too hard, some of the ink will kind of puddle along the outside edge of the bottom of the stamp, and you'll get like a dark line of ink on the bottom of your stamped image. Well, to avoid that, just do a light hand when you're swiping the stamp. This Antigua ink is brand new, so watch when I stamp this, I just kind of swipe it very softly, just once, and I stamp it and I get a good result. So I get a nice solid shape, but it has that variation to the stamping, something completely different than normal stamping. And if you have an ink that's too light, you can double stamp it, just swipe stamp it twice right on top of each other. And there you can see the fun variation in this technique. Now these inks do smooth out and become a little more solid over time, so some of the variation will kind of settle in, but it really does give fun results. Okay, now for the strings on this stamp set has a great string image that you could stamp, but I decided to use my glitter gel pen instead to draw the little strings so that it would shine instead. Now for the sentiment, I decided to use a mini action wobbler to add the sentiment to the card instead of foam tape. And this is really a great idea because this little mini action wobbler is a spring that flattens when you put it down. So there's very little bulk to it when it goes through the mail. But when they open up the card, it pops up huge. All you want to do is gently lay it onto your card, make sure it's straight, and then once you have it laying on your card and it's straight, you press it down. And check this out, it wiggles and wobbles, and it pops up really big time. Look how high that pops up. But when you put it in your card or your envelope, it flattens really flat, and you don't have to worry about too much bulk. Now, many people put these action wobblers behind like little critters on their cards, but it works great on sentiments too. Now here I'm going to show you, look how flat it goes when I squish it down. So it flattens big time, but then it pops up huge. So when you put this into your envelope, when you tuck it in, you'll see that it becomes nice and flat. But when they open up the envelope and pull the card out, it kind of pops up at them and wiggles a bit, which is really fun. Now these are the mini action wobblers. There were bigger size ones available for a long time. These mini ones are newer and they're inexpensive, so they're great to use for cards like this. And here, by the way, you can see the matching envelope that I created with the same stamp sets. And here are all the cards that I created today with this technique. So I hope you like this swipe stamping technique and give it a try. It's a great way to get a different look out of your solid stamps. If you're interested in the products, they are linked below. You can find them there. You can also go to my blog for more photos and more information. I appreciate you stopping by. In the middle are 2 more videos that might be of interest to you, including a swipe stamping video I did in the past. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll stop by again soon, and I'll see you then.